Good morning, buenos días. Hola, ¿cómo están? Soy Ginger para el consorcio CADE, where we will all be working together. We're starting with the proposition that the largest, strongest challenge to multi-stakeholder inclusion and voices in global processes is communication. This challenge predates the digital divide. It underlies the digital divide. So we will now try to work with that problem because principal to resolving that challenge of communication is the fact that the biggest challenge to communication is language. We have been communicating in CADE in English, in spite of the fact that out of almost 24 people, I am the only person who is a native English speaker. Is that fair? We are proposing now for this session to start with a basic discussion of internet governance without the stipulation of English as the imposed common language. So the rule of English as a common language is now suspended. I can speak English because it's my native language. If English isn't your native language, there are no rules. There's a suspended rule. So I invite you all to participate. We will start with our definitions and I invite my colleagues who will start the discussion with internet governance in their own languages, and then we will open the floor and ask each of you to be a participant, a panelist, and an active member. Thank you very much and welcome.
شكرا جينجر. Good morning everyone. صباح الخير جميعا. رح نحكي اليوم عن حوكمة الإنترنت. فإذا بس خلونا نسمع إذا بتريدوا. حوكمة الإنترنت هي التنمية والتطبيق التكاملي من قبل الحكومات والقطاع الخاص والمجتمع المدني والمجتمع التقني كلهم بدوره للمبادئ والمعايير والقواعد وإجراءات اتخاذ القرار والأنشطة المشتركة التي تشكل تطور الإنترنت واستخدامه ووضع البرامج التي تحدد شكل تطور الإنترنت واستعماله. حوكمة الإنترنت هي قضية أساسية بسبب إمكانات الإنترنت في تعزيز التنمية البشرية المستدامة وبناء مجتمعات المعرفة الشاملة وتعزيز التدفق الحر للمعلومات والأفكار في جميع أنحاء العالم. والآن أترككم مع زميلي كينيث.
Malingana ndi bungwe la WGIG kuyang'anira utatavu kumatanthauza kukonza malamulo ndondomeko komanso zoyenera kugwiritsa ntchito mogwirizana mbali zonse monga boma makampani ndi mabungwe omwe si aboma polemekeza nsanamira ndondomeko malamulo njira zotsatira popanga ziganizo komanso ndondomeko zokwezera utatavu ndi kagwiritsidwe kake ntchito.
The WIGIG definition of internet governance stipulates that internet governance is the development and application by governments, the private sector, and civil society in their respective roles of shared principles, norms, rules, decision-making procedures, and programs that shape the evolution and the use of the internet.
Según la Internet Society, el término gobernanza de Internet se refiere a los procesos y normas que afectan la forma en que se gestiona Internet, el éxito histórico y futuro de Internet como plataforma abierta y confiable para la innovación, y el empoderamiento depende de la adopción de un enfoque descentralizado, colaborativo y de múltiples partes interesadas hacia la gobernanza de Internet.
Gvernanza tal-internet, wow, I can say what I like, jiffoka fuq ir-rwol tal-gvern fit-tfassil tal-politika diġitali. Il-frażi titfa' importanza fuq ir-rwol tal-gvern fit-tmexxija iżda inqas fuq ir-rwol tas-soċjetà ċivili.
Zarządzanie internetem to proces, który ma na celu zapewnienie harmonijnego rozwoju internetu z korzyścią dla wszystkich ludzi. Co ciekawe, polskiego słowa zarządzanie moglibyśmy także użyć do opisania zarządzania firmą, zespołem czy kryzysem.
Rečnik interneta i komunikacije kaže: rukovođenje internetom predstavlja razvoj i primjenu zajedničkih principa, normi, pravila, postupaka pri donošenju odluka i programa koji oblikuje evoluciju i korišćenje interneta od strane vlada, privatnog sektora i civilnog društva u njihovim specifičnim ulogama. To je multidisciplinarna oblast koja uključuje mnoštvo aspekata: infrastrukturu, standarde, bezbednost, pravo, ekonomiju, razvoj, kulturu, ljudska prava i drugo.
Utawala wa mtandao ni ukuzaji na utekelezaji wa kanuni, taratibu, sheria, hatua za maamuzi na mipango ya pamoja inayoundwa na serikali, sekta binafsi na jamii ya kiraia, kila mmoja katika nafasi yake, ambazo huathiri mwelekeo na matumizi ya mtandao.
Thank you very much for listening. We now invite everyone in your places or get up and join us. The closer you are to the stage and the better you talk, the more the camera will capture this experiment in vivo. Again, I am speaking English because it's my native language. I invite you to remember that we have suspended English as an imposed universal language or common language. I invite you to use whatever language, gesture, or way of communication that works. We're trying to see what would happen if we have an honest Tower of Babel. So will you please join us? And we'll start. I know we have other languages involved. We invite you to just generate. Now this is the flash mob part. If you read the description, you know this is a flash mob. Come on in and talk. We're a crowd and we're trying to simulate what is it? How are we going to join silos? Are we going, I don't know what, yeah. There are some questions we're going to consider. This right now is a group exercise. We don't have individual speakers. We will have individual speakers after this group exercise. So this is a group exercise. Let's experiment. You have to speak English because, you know, we speak English. And English is, no. English is the de facto language. I speak English.
أنا بحكي عربي. في حدا بيحكي عربي هون؟
I wonder if there's anybody else that speaks a different language or what are they doing? We haven't. I'm sorry.
Es interesante, parece una revista parece la portada de una revista. Es interesante esta ilustración. ¿Se habrá hecho con inteligencia artificial? Sobre la portada, que parece la portada de una revista, la ilustración. Es una ilustración que está bonita, pero parece la portada de una revista. Caos.
In my language.
English is not
Chinese. Yeah, 死蛙们。我来自中国，来自新加坡。Can you understand? Oh, no English, right? 你听懂了？哦，哇哦，你从哪里来 ？German. Okay, bilingual. So great. No way. Yeah.
Mi è piaciuto. Ho fatto un giro di Malta. Una isola.
Was soll ich sagen? Was soll ich sagen?
Sì. Dove?
Kenya. Okay. Was soll ich rein? Achso, okay. Hallo, ich bin Elisa. Ich komme aus Deutschland. Und ich freue mich, an diesem Experiment teilzunehmen. Gutes Experiment. Keiner.
La macchina? Sì.
Aber Experiment, Experiment. Ja, ja, ist gut. Ja. Das Problem ist, ich verstehe dich, du verstehst mich nicht.
I work for the Council of Europe in Strasbourg. Yeah. You? Wow. Digital governance. It's called. And sports. I don't know why. Digital governance and sports. Diplo. Yeah, you guys participate in many activities.
Okay, I'm glad you're bringing
But
that
remind
up.
me, what is your focus?
Should I let everyone know what we are doing?
I see.
Uganda ni population yangu mama na kunenya undu na noniwe na kwa nukwirwa undu ngwasya yue ku nini wenu no munene wenu ku umite etawa.
Okay, I'm hearing a lot of things going on because of the chaos, which is not that chaotic, but I've heard a lot of people not understanding each other. I invite you to take your places or to stay standing. We'll do a little bit more directed analysis now,
What's your name?
where we have people speaking in their own languages or English or however you want to communicate the best you can as we work out, for instance, any of the questions, if I can ask Slavi to please put the questions back on the screen, because that's where we will be going now. I hope you have the basic context from our cheat sheet. We have 4 microphones, so if people want to speak, come around, but come up this way so the camera can catch you. I invite you to tell us your suggestions. For instance, I had a gentleman who was I was very pleased, was representing the Chinese language. Where are you? He was proposing actually an AI solution. I hope you will come up and join us at the mic. I invite you to all come up with 30-second interventions, especially representing languages that have not been used. And if you have a solution, what worked right now? What didn't work? Anybody talking sign language? Anyone saying, did anyone find themselves saying, I can't understand what you're telling me? So what happened? Come and tell us. 30 seconds each. Come on up. Come and tell us about your solution. You have 30 seconds. Anybody who wants to? Mic is open. We have 4 mics. 30 seconds each to tell us your answers or your comments. Please go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I'm from Lingo AI. I'm the co-founder, and Una is the CEO, and we came here. We are from Singapore Internet Governance Forum. We are also the co-founders. And the Lingo.
So what language does AI think in?
AI is thinking. AI can thinking in every languages, all 7,000 languages. But if we don't have enough data sets, then it think in English and other major languages.
How interesting. So we have a default language for AI as well.
Yeah, you know, AI actually can talk in other than the 7,000 languages. They can design their own native computing languages. It's different from human languages.
And that is such an interesting concept, which is why I invite you all to visit the booth and find out more about this project, because is AI our solution? Is that how we're going to communicate in the future? What does AI do? So please join the booth to find out more about that possibility, because it's one of our possible solutions. What else do you think? What did you find out? What's your observation from that flash experiment? Did you find anything?
Excellent experience. Thank you for organizing it. It was easy and interesting to find the conversational partner due to the label. So labeling the label of the language that people speak, because majority of people here speak more than one language. And we could have had a list of languages on our chests to easier find more communication languages. And surprisingly, you can find people that speak
what would be the common language? That is very interesting. We did encourage people to put their native language, their first language, to see the diversity of primary languages, but that is an excellent suggestion because we would have helped direct those silos, first of all, which would have formed if we find commonalities. And we might also have found what is an alternative second language or common language. So yes, I like that. Next time we'll have to try it. This is our first experiment. We need to know, what did you think? What did you hear? What did you find out?
I have an answer here. From the experiment, I almost got a migraine. Like everyone was speaking whatever I was not understanding. I was only picking from the Swahili speakers and Chichewa. So those are the African languages. And from Uganda, I think we have the Bantu or the two languages, so they sort of overlap. The Spaniards and the rest, I was just, it's chaotic. Yeah.
Does anyone dare to share?
Yeah. Hi. Thank you for the experiment. I saw that groups of the...
Can you come up so the camera might catch you? Walk up while you're talking.
Okay.
Keep going.
So I saw that during the experiment, people from like the same nation would gather up together in small groups, like the English speakers. I was speaking Chinese with my Chinese fellows. I feel like that separates us as a nation because we would only like be in groups of the people we understand. So I do think English is, as a common language, it does work in an international context, and it is the solution for the chaotic Tower of Babel situation. So I do think English is the solution for the chaos.
Thank you. What is your native language?
German, but I do speak Chinese.
But so you chose, and Chinese is one of the candidates for a common language, except that I have been given conferences in situations for Chinese people who have the common language of English because they don't understand each other. That happens also in Africa and parts of the U.S. I mean, some of us. So Samoa, would you please join us? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. I think to me it was a confusing one because I'm the only Samoan here, and only me understand my language. So in this global platform, it should be a common language for all of us can understand each other. So as we know that English, we say is an international language. So we need to learn that so that we can communicate. There are some exceptions. It depends on the target and the market and the number of people in that space. And then you can have that common language or your native language to communicate. But with the international ones like here, it should be a common language can be used so that we can easily communicate. Thank you.
Do I have anyone waiting? Please.
Hi, so I was talking to the gentleman, I don't know if he's here. He was talking in Spanish and I was talking in Hindi. But the thing was, some of the words that he was saying were close enough to English that I could kind of understand what he was saying, so that's there. And then the second thing is, in Hindi, I don't even know, like I looked up what the word for internet is. I don't think there is a word. Like, so some of these newer terms, there are not even like native terms for them that exist. And then just coming back to the point of India has so many dialects. It has thousands. We have no national language because language is very political. And there are some languages that, like Hindi, there is like a push for Hindi to be the national language. Then there's pushback from other regions because of culture. So English becomes the default language because it's politically the most equal. So that's just like one.
That's a
point.
So I have a couple of things. Please pardon me for monopolizing the mic, and raise your hand when you want to join in. Come on up in the meantime. So you're saying that English is the de facto second language and perhaps is the best solution because it works. There are those who would say English is an imposed language, and you used the word political. So I ask you to consider and add your comments if you think English has been imposed, or yes, it's imposed, but it works. The other thing I would like to also ask before my colleague joins us is How many of you think you're the only speaker of your language? We know of two, we think. Only one Maltese speaker, only one Samoan, only one Polish. What language is yours? Can you get to a mic? Can you come up?
I speak the two types of Creole. So the Cape Verdean Creole and the Bissau Guinean Creole. So, and I think I'm one of the few Cape Verdean here in Oslo. So.
Excellent. So we now have at least 4 people who represent, they're the only representative of their language. That's a challenge that they have obviously overcome. And please feel free to comment then. Please look for a mic or come up to speak. We want to hear your reactions. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm actually from Malawi, and my local language is Chichewa. But according to the experience, what I try to do is just to use GIS as well as the sign language, because I could see like there are different tags. So when I look at the person, it was just pointing at the language, so I could understand, like he was telling me like, I'm coming from this particular region, and what's your name, where are you coming from? So it was all about guessing and also about sign language. But the experience was so fun, and it taught me something, that language is the best thing to do, more especially in international gatherings like this. We need to have a common language, common ground, which we can use. But just like as the portrait of the Tower of Babel, if we have different languages, it is so hard for us to understand each other and also to pursue a common goal. Thank you.
How many people, anyone ready? Is anyone waiting for a mic? Please take the mic. This is you. You are the panelists. Where are my panelists?
Can I? Hi. I'm not only the only one who speaks Maltese, I'm probably the only Maltese here, right? I have never been to an IGF, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions where there were other people from Malta at the IGF, wherever it's been organized. So I'm a bit isolated, but English breaks down that isolation. Strangely enough, it was in Italian that we communicated. So we found a second language there, or a third, I would say. I want to challenge the notion of one solution, of English being one solution. And I would add to our colleague from the Council of Europe who was mentioning choices. And I think this is actually the way forward, of having choices. It is why the UN has several official languages. It is why the EU has multiple official languages. So perhaps rather than saying, let's have English as a common language, why not give people more options? I'm not saying 1,000 options to choose from, because that would be taking it a bit too far, right? But what if in the discussions that we have, there are more simultaneous interpretations in at least a handful of different languages, that people have choices which language to follow. I think we would tick more boxes in terms of participation of people if there were even more languages. I'm not expecting any fora to choose Maltese as another possibility. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. But there are so many other languages which are, a lot of people know: Spanish, Chinese, Swahili, German, French, so many.
And your point of those of us, we can talk to Italians. I should explain, I spent most of my life speaking Spanish, although English is my native language. And we have Portuñol, Spanglish. Well, there are many more combinations where we actually do speak our own languages, and we are answered in the other language, which we can understand. So, Stephanie, that's an exciting possibility of looking for channels joining in together. Would you have a comment on that? You deal with a lot of languages, and you had an interesting...
Recently, I was in also an interesting presentation on large language models. And I learned that AI doesn't think in any language. It thinks in terms of mathematics, the proximity of different notions which are coded in digits. So indeed, let's not, how to say, be fooled by the idea that one language is going to predominate. It is mathematics, actually all digital, or everything which is digital are digits. 0 or 1, I think. That's it. So it is important to use this platform as, I mean, the digital world and the AI as a neutral, culturally relatively neutral. Of course, it feeds on existing data, but that evolves quickly. And basically, I would say, let's trust and explore this world.
And hope that those who are writing the algorithms speak a lot of languages. Because I'm sorry for this bad joke I'm going to make. At least in digital and binary, we only have to learn 2 letters. It's not like these languages my colleagues have been speaking that I can't even read. 0 and 1 I can understand. Anyone else on that? And I would go back to a comment. Do you have a response to that, my friend, that the AI?
You have it already, so I didn't see it.
Thank you very much for that addition. I think it's very important to our search for solutions.
Hello, everyone. My name is Una, and I came from China. You know, in China, there's the official language is Mandarin, but actually there are around 60 local languages and nuances, and they speak in different ways of the communication. So once the Chinese people learning English, and when they go to the international platform, they are not going to speak and communicate very well because there's no such very more practice every day in English. So we see that the problem is that not languages is like barriers. It's not like bridges that can connect everyone, that we are in the IGF and we speak different languages, around hundreds of languages, that hundreds of countries that we are from, but we can only speak in English to communicate. So we are now do some consumption. It's like how we can connect, speak with our own native languages, and we use some hardwares, like earphones, can translate all the languages into other native languages. Let's see, I speak Chinese, you speak English, and we can understand well in each other native languages. So we know that Google Translate has added 100 languages every year for the inclusive language development. But actually there's some text-to-text translation, but not on the oral communication. So currently the technologies like ASR can only recognize 100 languages, but not in a very high quality. That means you cannot rely on that technology. So we lack of the data sets because almost 95% of data sets or languages data in the internet is English. So the rest of the languages and the people are not communicate in their own internet language in the internet. That's the problem. So the current large language models understand in English or Spanish or Chinese, but not all the other languages. So there leads to the bias. That means AI cannot understand your own culture, your own native languages, or your own native local the knowledge there. So language is very complex. Yeah. So we are now doing some project research on on the community language community side. That means all the people from all the world, they can contribute their native knowledge in their own native language.
That's amazing. That's a very eye-opening insight, and we really appreciate that, especially added to others. On that note, you mentioned technology and both the advantages and shortcomings, which was excellent. I did wonder if we would see people pulling out their phones for Google Translate to help them during the discussion. I did not see any cases of that. So that's very interesting. If there are techies in the group, I'm always curious whether the use of the internationalized domain names might have some, because they have to rationalize all of these different languages, and it comes into, I think, a combination rather than a dominance, because we do, of course, need our domain names in languages we can comprehend or we can't use the internet. I have someone else. Stephanie? Oh.
Yeah, it's me. So actually, let me explain something that English is the third most spoken language, native spoken language in the world. It's not the first one. The first one is the Chinese Mandarin. The second one is Spanish. The third one is the English. And I think why we are speaking English now, especially in the business, it's the business language, because it is, because it is like the dominant powers language. That's why. And every era has its own language. Yani, let's imagine that Arabic used to be like the dominant language before, then Spanish in some eras, and then like. So I think maybe next we're gonna speak Chinese Mandarin. We don't know as our business language.
Well, we definitely have a way forward. I would love anyone who can to take, but we do need to close. The timer's yelling at me in red, which makes sense. Thank you all for your input. We apologize for the chaos, but the chaos was important. Certainly, among our thank yous, thank you to all of you, and we should have a slide with thank you in many languages, but I don't see it. Thank you to the tech team for supporting us. Thank you for the online participants who are watching us and can't raise their voices in whatever language they want. Thank you all very, very much. An applause for you.